Hey guys, it's Liv here, and in today's video, we're going to be using a Rabsca Trick Room team. And if you enjoy the content and you want to see more, leave a like and subscribe, and answer the comment question of the day. What is your favorite Pokemon to use as a Trick Room setter? My personal favorite has probably been Rabsca this gen, but I will say the one I've been using the most is Oranguru. But let me know what your guys' answer to that is. And with that said, let's break down this team, which was built by Poke Esports. So I'm going to link to their stuff down below, of course, for anyone who wants to check them out. Really incredible team, and honestly, it's probably been one of my favorite teams that I've borrowed from someone all gen. So with that said, let's get started. The first mon, of course, being Rabsca with the Covert Cloak and Terra Water. Terra Water helps a lot with Rabsca's defensive weaknesses to stuff like fire, for example. And overall, the weaknesses to water being electric and grass. Electric would be neutral anyway against Rabsca, and grass would be resisted thanks to the previous bug typing. So there's definitely that 50-50 that opponents will have to play. With the telepathy ability, this is really useful for stuff like Earthquake on later Pokemon or just other spread attacks that would target our own Rabsca. And with this moveset, Revival Blessing is really useful, of course, for bringing back allies. This especially has a lot of use cases, which I'll get into down the road. But Covert Cloak is mostly here to get around the fake outs, so that way then I can guarantee up Trick Room, which is most likely the two attacks I'll be clicking. However, if I do manage to keep Rabsca along for more than 2 turns, we have Earth Power and Bug Buzz here, which should be pretty decent options. They cover a wide array of stuff. For example, Bug Buzz is great for stuff like grass types and psychic types. Meanwhile, Earth Power is really good for stuff like rock, fire, and also steel types. So with that said, we have our first Trick Room abuser, and the one that I've been primarily sweeping teams with being Skeletor's. With the Unaware ability, this functions as a really strong Dondozo check for the team, which is amazing because the team is very physical heavy. With Torch Song and Shadow Ball, these are really strong offensive options here, with Slack Off, of course, being for recovery, and Protect being just really valuable. We have the Terrestrial Grass, which is great to get around stuff like Earthquake weakness, as well as stuff like Surf and Muddy Water. Overall, though, Skeletor's is just meant to be a really good offensive option, and with the Quiet Nature 0 speed, we're able to underpace a lot of threats in Trick Room. I'm not too sure what the bulk and offensive spreads on these two Pokemon in particular are, but the rest are pretty easy to go over. The next one we have, though, is the Choice Scarf and Annihilape. This is probably one of the best enablers for Rabsca to guarantee get up Trick Room. With the Choice Scarf Final Gambit, we're able to essentially claim an ally that might otherwise take out Rabsca, and this does take out a lot of opportunity to where I might not need to trust Rabsca in general because of this. However, against Pokemon like Talonflame, I'll most likely end up benching Annihilape altogether, or maybe go for Terrestrial Rabsca, just to guarantee that I can get around that sort of mon, because Talonflame in general is really annoying for this core. But otherwise, if I don't see a Talonflame, typically I'm leading off with Rabsca and Annihilape, and I'm going to go for Final Gambit into one of the Pokemon, and 9 times out of 10 it works, because Annihilape can't get fake outed, which is an amazing benefit here. And with the Final Gambit in general, it's so bulky on Annihilape that most Pokemon cannot actually even take the hit to begin with. So they would need to go for some sort of priority attack, which is great because we're immune to E-Speed, so it has to be something like a Sucker Punch or an Aqua Jet. So Annihilape is pretty valued here. We're Choice Scarf just to guarantee that we're as fast as possible, and we're Max Speed just to tie other base 90 Pokemon, I guess, with the Scarf. We have Close Combat and Rage Fist just as other options in case I bring this Pokemon back to life, which has a lot of potential, as I typically do end up reviving Annihilape with the Revival Blessing, though sometimes I'll revive something like the Skeletor, for example, but typically it's Annihilape, just because I kill it so early on, and it still has some good value with Close Combat anyway. Up next, though, we do have the Kingambit with the Assault Vest. We're Terra Water, which is mostly useful to get around stuff like ground types and fire types that would hit me for super effective, which is the same reason we do have Terra Blast here as well. With Sucker Punch and Kowtow Cleave, they're really strong dark attacks, and especially with Sucker Punch giving us a good priority outside of Trick Room, this mon has been a pretty big menace. We also have Iron Head, which is extremely valuable for just general fairy types, as they do plague the format, especially through the Terrestrial Fairy. So this Pokemon overall is a pretty big demon. The Terra Blast also has another function, which is specifically for Kingambit mirrors. I can utilize this to get around potential Brick Break Kingambits, which is really good for me, as a lot of Kingambits are going for stuff like Terra Flying to get around this. However, with my strat with Terra Water, I can trade the resistance for Brick Break instead for a resistance to Steel and keeping that resistance, while still, of course, being neutral to Dark. So it's still a pretty good option here, and again, it helps a little bit more defensively with Kingambit's weaknesses, so I'll take it. Up next, we do have Tyranitar with the Weakness Policy and Sandstream. With Sandstream, we're boosting our Spadef a ton, and with Terrestrial Rock, we're boosting our Rock Slide damage further. We have the Weakness Policy on here, which is extremely valuable, actually. Tyranitar is so specially bulky with the Sand Up that we're able to take a lot of special hits. Stuff such as Make It Rain Goldengo will end up popping Weakness Policy, and we can revenge it off later on with a Crunch. So honestly, Tyranitar is just a really amazing breaker for this team. Typically, I'll end up cleaning games with specifically the comp of Rabsca, Skeletor, Annihilape, and Tyranitar. However, certain matchups, such as against Armrouge, for example, I'll typically bring Dual Dark with Kingambit and Tyranitar over Skeletor's. But typically, though, again, there's a lot of merit for sweeping games with Tyranitar. It's such a free sweeper for me. Final mod of the team is just standard Amoonguss. I will say, well, I'm still not sure what the EVs do. This is the set that I've been told by Clutch months ago was the standard in this format. With Rage Powder and Clear Smog, they're just really good options for support, with Clear Smog being great for non-sealed and dozos, and just any setup mods in general. Meanwhile, Rage Powder is great for redirection. We have Protect on here just to guarantee that Amoonguss can take a hit, though I still do not like the move on this mon, even if objectively it works here. And then Spore, of course, is a great way to put Pokemon to sleep. Terrestrial Water is probably your best Terra type. It gets around stuff like Torkoal a lot easier. And yeah, that's really it. With that said, let's get right into the battles. Until then, peace out, guys. Hey guys, it's Liv here. In today's video, we're going to be using a team built around Rabsca, and if you enjoy, leave a like and subscribe. The only thing is if we do win 2 games, you have to like. And comment your thoughts down below. I answer the question of the day, of course, which will be, what is your favorite Trick Room set that are using competitive? Mine this gen, personally, has actually been Rabsca. It's so fucking fun to make this mon work, specifically when it works. Generically, though, I think that the safest answer and the one that I'm typically running is Oranguru. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. And with that said, the opponent today has Murkrow, Dragapult, Gardevoir, Goldengo, Mousehold, and Tauros Fire. Okay, so in terms of my lead here, I feel like that I'm definitely see, this is a game I'm actually not gonna, well, no, I think I am gonna lead Rabsca here. Rabsca can Gambit, I think, is a really good lead here. The one exception would be against their Tauros Blaze, but I think I'm gonna lead off with Annihilape and Rabsca, and I'm gonna bring King Gambit in the back, as well as, actually no, I'm not. I'm going to bring Tyranitar in the back and Skeletor's. And I think that these 4 should be solid. This is obviously a really hard Trick Room team, so it should be pretty obvious what I'm going for. But at the same time, though, I don't really care a ton. They can't really stop it is the issue. Like they know it's coming. They know I'm Trick Room. It's not really too hard to tell. However, it's not like they could really, you know, stop the Trick Room from going up. So good luck and fun to my opponent, though. And yeah, they're going to lead off with Tauros, Blaze, and Mousehold. Okay, so they're getting Intimidate off early on. They're probably going to go for some sort of follow me with the Mousehold here. I'm kind of anticipating Terra Ghost, to be honest, which I'm perfectly fine with. I think what I'll end up actually doing is clicking Close Combat. Well, actually, no, because I can't click Close Combat either. You know what? I guess I will click Final Gambit into the Tauros, and we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, I'm going to click Trick Room with my Rabsca. Realistically, Tauros either clicks like Protect or something. I don't really feel the need to burn my Terrestrial here. Mostly just because of the fact that I think they'll value taking out Annihilape anyway. But if they try and go for Terra Mousehold, then I'm okay with that. So let's see, they're going to burn their Terrestrial here. And they're going to burn it on Tauros. Okay, so this is perfectly fine because Tauros is getting cleared. I'm kind of glad they were not Terra Ghost Mousehold because that could have been annoying in hindsight. But you know what? Tauros going down, I'm perfectly okay with this. So Final Gambit smashes their Tauros. Beautiful. Okay, so Tauros is already gone. Meanwhile, Mousehold, it's probably going to go for Population Bomb. Either that or Super Fang, but I'm going to guess Population Bomb because of the fact that Final Gambit went first. So Rabsca might be in a little bit of trouble here, but honestly, I'm not too concerned with this. Even if they do manage to take me out, they would need to hit like 9 times. So let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, come on. Oh, fuck, they really got all 10. Okay, they're probably wide lens then. Good to note, though. Population Bomb. Okay, that's very good information at the very least. Thankfully, my last 2 don't really mind either way. Tyranitar is obviously a really good resist. Meanwhile, Skeletor's is just completely immune. I'll probably end up tearing Skeletor's just to get rid of the Goldengo weakness, but I'm going to have to wait on it, sadly, which is a little unfortunate. They're going to go into Murkrow here. Okay, so thankfully they went Murkrow, which is really good for me, actually. So what I'll proceed to do, I'm going to proceed to go for a Torch Song into the Mousehold, as well as, I'm definitely going to go for dual target into Mousehold with Torch Song plus Rock Slide. The Rock Slide, of course, will still be valuable even against the Murkrow, so I'm okay with this. Even if they decide to go for Protect, there's always the guaranteed attack that's going to land here. So I really just need to make sure I take out the Mousehold, though, because it does open up a lot of Terrestrial potential, especially for Skeletors, which will be necessary, especially if they brought Dragapult or Goldengo here. I'm going to want to make sure I get the Terrestrial off. There's Sucker Punch on Murkrow. That's interesting. That's definitely fairly interesting, actually, because this means I probably cannot attack next turn with it. Okay. So, obviously, Mousehold gets the Protect off. Please hit the Murkrow, though. Thank God. Okay. Murkrow drops. That's relieving. Sadly, though, that Sucker Punch getting off is actually pretty huge, because this now means that I probably need to go for a Slack Off here. Either that or, like, specifically, I need to hope that Terrestrial Slack Off will be enough. And if it isn't, then that's a little bit concerning. But hopefully there's no Goldengo. There's Goldengo, okay. So that's, yeah, we're gonna go for Terrestrial and Slack. Nope. What I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna go for just a raw Slack Off, and I'm gonna go for a Crunch into the Goldengo spot. If they're clicking Shadow Ball here, then I'm fine with that. If they're gonna click, oh right, yeah, they can't help again that Mon. Oh, I'm so glad they can't do that. That would make Goldengo so good, like so obnoxiously good. Thankfully though, they completely wasted a turn here, which is extremely valuable because they've dropped their special attack by 1 stage. On top of this as well, Tyranitar's weakness policy is going to pop. So Goldengo is finished. It's absolutely finished here. Meanwhile, my Skeletors, on the other hand, will be able to heal up this turn, of course. So it should be 2 on 1 again, and Mousehold can never actually attack both my Pokemon, which is amazing for me. Not only this, but Population Bomb can never actually hit my Skeletors, so the fact that we kept it healthy enough to not die from sand will be massive here, actually. It should be the reason that we win. So they're going to take sand damage, though. Meanwhile, we're going to be fine to just Torch Song this. So we're going to go for Torch Song here, and I'm going to go for... Well, I'm going to go for a Protect here. I think they're going to Population Bomb Tyranitar just to guarantee the KO. Battle was canceled. Okay, so they forfeit. Even better. Well, we're 1-0 for the day so far, so for the people who are not looking to like the video, it's already looking pretty bad for you. But let's get into game number 2. Peace out, guys. Okay, and we are here with game number 2. We're taking on Meowscarada, Garganacl, Annihilape, Talonflame, Dondozo, and Tatsugiri. Okay. So, looking at my opponent's team, I'm fully anticipating either Meowscarada. Well, I definitely think that Talonflame will lead. Objectively, I think Talonflame has to lead here. Now, Meowscarada or Annihilape could come as the secondary, and I think it kind of does depend, I guess, on how hard they're leading into Dondozo. If they're going to lead into Dondozo, or they're going to really, like, go into it, I think that Annihilape will not end up coming at all. And I think they'll go with Meowscarada as the lead. I think if they're going to go with no Dozo, though, that they might go with Annihilape in that turn. This could also just be like a not final gambit set, and I totally do think that's possible against my team. Realistically, I'm leading off with Rabsca, though, and Annihilape. I think they're my strongest options. Actually, no, I'm not leading off with Annihilape against this team, because Talonflame would just Bright Bird me with priority, and that's pretty bad. I'm leading off with Rabsca, and I'm going to lead off with Rabsca King Gambit here. And if they lead off with their own Annihilape, I'm going to have to Terrestrial. We're going to go with Skeletors, though, and I think last mon will probably end up being Amoonguss. I need Amoonguss specifically in case they're not Terra Steel on Dondozo. It's a really good check to it, especially in tandem with Skeletors. So good luck and fun to my opponent, though. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Their team comp is a little bit concerning, I can't lie. Specifically, it's a combination of Dondozo plus Annihilape plus Talonflame. It's a really, really specific set of mons, but the 4 of them together are what puts any sort of issue on this comp. They're leading off with Talonflame and Annihilape. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so I need to play a little bit careful here. Ultimately, what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to end up going for the Trick Room here. And I'm going to go for Terrestrial Water. This is to avoid Talonflame going for a potential Brave Bird priority. Meanwhile, I'm going to go for a Sucker Punch here into the Annihilape spot. Just in case, this is going for any sort of bulk upset. I'm perfectly okay with this, actually. So it does not look like my opponent Terrestrial at all, which is very good. This means they're probably going to be the final Gambit set, which I'm personally okay with, because that's going to be weakened significantly by my Sucker Punch at the very least. They could end up going for, my guess is they're going to go for Tailwind plus Final Gambit here. They're going to go for Brave Bird, actually. That's perfectly fine. Thankfully, we chew this hit pretty well. Meanwhile, Annihilape is going to proceed to go for... We're going to get the Sucker Punch off. Okay, so what do they click? They're clicking U-turn. Okay, so U-turn's fine. We still chew this hit, thankfully. Okay. So, let's see. So they're Brave Bird and U-turn. Okay. So that's honestly perfectly fine. We're going to guarantee our Trick Room up, which should be valuable. Sadly, I had to burn the Terrestrial on Rabsca, but truthfully, I think it was very much worth it. They're going to bring Garganacl in the back, which means that my Amoonguss is not looking the best here, but it shouldn't be terrible. It's still not bad for Annihilape, truthfully, if it's bulk up. But I don't really think it is. Anyway, we're going to click Earth Power here into the Garg. Meanwhile, I'm going to click the Iron Head here as well into the Garg. If it's Terrestrial, it's fine. It would basically have to be Terrestrial Steel to at least resist this. They're going to protect on Talonflame, so be it. It's a wasted turn for them. Especially when I can guarantee get off some really strong damage on the Garganacl. Albeit I won't KO, but it should be really good damage nonetheless. So we just barely missed out on that KO. Perfectly fine. They got flinched. Alright, even better. So, Leftovers is going to reveal on Garganacl here. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to click the... They don't have an immunity on other Pokemon, right? Yeah. Nothing else is immune. I'm going to click Earth Power to this spot. Meanwhile, I'm going to click Kowtow Cleave into Talonflame. This should be a really strong combination of attacks. I don't know if I'll KO, but I should get pretty close. Garganacl is going to go for Protect here. So be it. I don't really mind. The Talonflame should at least... If Talonflame does live this turn, at worst, it's going to end up trading with one of my Pokemon because it'll die to Recoil. So I'm okay with that, but I don't think it lives anyway. They're going to just barely live. Okay, perfectly fine. Flare Blitz will go off into Kingambit here. And that does manage to KO. Okay, I'm fine with this because it means that my opponent traded Talonflame for Kingambit. And Kingambit, truthfully, would have probably been one of the more useless mons here because Skeletor should actually be my win con at this point. Looking at their team, even if they brought just solo Dozo or solo Geary, I'm fine with Skeletor as a win con here, guaranteed. So we'll go with Rabsca or Earth Power next turn into the Garganacl 100%, and then with Skeletor, I'm going to proceed to probably just attack whatever the other Pokemon is, most likely be Torch Song, and it's probably going to be Annihilape. Okay, it's going to be Dondozo, actually. So they brought no Meowscarada. I'm kind of surprised. I thought Meowscarada was good against my team. But this is fine, actually. I'm going to proceed to, again, go for the Earth Power here. Meanwhile, I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball into the Dondozo. Dondozo doesn't really have a good way to break me, actually, thankfully, because of the fact it's lost Commander, so it should be doing negligible damage to my team. Yeah, there's not really a good way for this thing to actually damage my team. They're going to go for Yawn. Okay, Yawn is fine. I don't really mind Yawn, to be completely honest. We're still going to get off a ton of damage on this Pokemon anyway, and it can't even Terastal, which is extremely valuable. What I'll proceed to do, I'm going to switch out Skeletors into the not the Annihilape, the Amoonguss. And I'm gonna click the Earth Power here into Dondozo. So we'll go switch like this. This should get around the Yawn, obviously, and I can put the Dondozo asleep with Spore, as well as the Annihilape for that matter. One of them is probably Safety Goggles, but I'm not really too concerned with which is or which isn't. The Annihilape also probably won't be locking into Final Gambit here unless it's clicking it into the Rabsca, which feels like a throw because they can't really beat my Skeletors. So they're gonna go for Protect on Dondozo. That's fine. That was probably to secure the Yawn, and they're probably gonna click. If I had to guess, they're gonna click like Bulk Up or something with Annihilape. I can't imagine they would go for Final Gambit, but even if they do, I'm still okay. They're gonna go for Close Combat here, so I'm okay with that. Because I can realistically just keep drawing in this. I genuinely still believe it's Scarfed. So I'm pretty okay here. Especially the fact they had U-turn. I can't imagine this isn't Scarfed. Okay. So Twisted Dimensions return to normal. I'm okay with this. What I'll proceed to do here, I'm going to click Rage Powder, and I'm going to click Shadow Ball. This combination should take out the Annihilape, guaranteed. Actually, I'm gonna go for Spore. And I'm gonna go for Shadow Ball. Again, I'm genuinely assuming it's Scarfed. Even still, I don't think that it would have a way to KO my Skeletors guaranteed here. They're gonna go for Terastal at this point. I'm okay with that. What are they gonna Terastal? It's gonna be Dondozo. Don't be Terra Grass. Terra Steel. Okay, so I'm fine with this. Terra Steel is so much easier to beat, actually. Specifically because of the fact that they clicked this, though, I should actually be in a position where I can guarantee to go for, just go for Torch Song in this Pokemon. And that should massacre, because Shadow Ball was a neutral hit, and we still did around like 40%, so can you imagine how much a super effective hit is going to do? That's going to easily massacre. Annihilape is gone, that's perfectly fine. It's just Dondozo left, which should get mauled by Torch Song next turn. This would essentially have to be some sort of, like Safety Goggles set, though, to get around this, which it does not prove to be. Now, it could have Sleep Talk, but even a Sleep Talk isn't going to be that threatening, because obviously my Skeletor is unaware, and I just need for that to... Oh, it's Lum. Lum is interesting. I fuck with Lum. Still fine, though, because I just go for Torch Song here, and I go for the Rage Powder here, and I never lose this. I objectively never lose this. They're not clicking Protect here, which is perfectly fine. They have Order Up, Yawn, Protect. I'm kind of curious on what that last move would have been. But it doesn't really matter because Dondozo is gone. So GG to my opponent, we have officially secured the 2-0, but let's get one more game on the records. Obviously, let's try for the 3-0. But with that said, I will see you guys in game number 3. Peace out, guys. Okay, so moving on to our final team of the day, we're taking on Glaceon, Talonflame, Kingambit, Abomasnow, Slowking, and Frostmoth. Okay, so in terms of my lead here, I feel like that leading off with Rabsca plus Annihilape is pretty free. We're going to bring the Skeletors in the back for sure, and then I think the last one is probably going to be... I feel like Kingambit's pretty decent here, and Kingambit might be my Terramon actually this game, considering the fact their team is super fucking weak to it already. The Skeletors should be really good. I could also bring Tyranitar to clear their sand, but I have a feeling that Slowking also has Snowscape, so I don't really think that's going to be super reliable, and truthfully, Tyranitar has a really bad matchup against a lot of these mons. Like, for example, outside of sand, the Abomasnow would probably do a ton of damage to me with the Leaf Storm. The Slowking obviously has, well, the Slowking is kind of a weird matchup, but Kingambit especially, as well as potential, actually, no, I talked myself out of it. We're bringing Tyranitar. I definitely talked myself out of that one. But yeah, good luck and fun on my opponent though. And with that said, let's aim for the 3-0. We've yet to do this in a while at the very least, so I would love to do it, especially this one being the first one in Master Ball. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I feel confident though. This team, I was killing it with on stream, and I feel confident in it. This is probably one of the best I've felt on teams in a while. They're gonna lead off with Frostmoth Kingambit here, perfectly fine. I'm pretty okay with just clicking Trick Room here. I'm gonna click Terra Water as well, just to guarantee the Trick Room goes up. And I'm gonna click Final Gambit, and I'm gonna actually click Final Gambit into the Kingambit, because the Frostmoth I'm not too concerned with, truthfully. While Kingambit, I am worried about clicking maybe a Sucker Punch this turn. Frostmoth should be fodder into Trick Room, and realistically, Tyranitar should be able to smash it, even if it goes for a Terastal. I'm anticipating like a Terra Steel or a Terra Ground here. Either one would be pretty manageable. I think Terra Ground will be better. They're going to withdraw Kingambit, actually. That's fine. Whatever mon they bring in here, truthfully, would also be pretty appreciated in getting taken out. They're going to bring in a Abomasnow. So yeah, clearing a Abomasnow is also, again, amazing for me. This does mean they're probably not going to Terastal the Frostmoth, which I'm perfectly fine with. No Terastal Frostmoth should just take a ton of damage from my Tyranitar, and clearing their Snow Setter as well will be amazing for me. The worst thing I guess this could do is if for some reason Frostmoth gets Rage Powder, that could maybe be a little annoying, but even still, we clear the Rage Powder mon. And yeah, it doesn't look like it gets Rage Powder, or if it does, they didn't click it. Their Focus Sash, okay, that's perfectly fine. This just means that, one, we've revealed their Focus Sash mon, and it's not Talonflame. It means it's probably Covert Cloak. But more importantly, number 2, I should be pretty good when it comes to just killing this thing off next turn. I'm going to definitely bring in the Tyranitar here, and I'm going to proceed to go for the Rock Slide with Tyranitar and a Revival Blessing on the Annihilape, because I think Annihilape can still be a really good mon in this game. Realistically, their team doesn't really have great switch-ins to it, between the Final Gambit just being a really good menacing move overall, as well as the fact that their team in general just doesn't have great fighting checks. The only real fighting checks in this team are Slowking, which still would be threatened by Rage Fist potentially, or even just Final Gambit, and then Talonflame, which again just still has the Final Gambit issue, especially once it's taken chip and no longer is priority. So the rest of their team, though, gets mauled by like a close combat or something. And they've yet to reveal a fighting resist outside of Frostmoth, I guess, which Frostmoth should get dropped this turn. So again, not really too concerned there. Annihilape has been officially revived. At this point, we're just going to click the Rock Slide. Rabsca dropping at this point, I'm really not concerned with. The fact they're not targeting Tyranitar is pretty good for me. Albeit, it does mean that I don't pop a weakness policy, but I'm pretty okay with that exchange. This does mean as well that they were like minus speed Abomasnow because we're minus speed Brave 0 IV. So both these mons did end up dropping. They have Kingambit left as well as one of their Pokemon, and I'm pretty okay with that. Because what I could realistically do here, I could go into Skeletors, and Skeletors should be pretty fine at this point. I'm just going to click Torch Song. The Kingambit's going to have to choose, essentially. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm going to click Torch Song, to be honest. I think I'm going to click Protect. If they go for the Tyranitar spot, I'm okay with that. Truthfully, I'm actually very fine with that. Because, realistically, I care a lot more about Skeletors being fun than I do about Tyranitar. Well, actually, it depends on that last mon, I can't lie. If they have Slowking specifically, I think I'll Raw Attack. Because I will kind of need to Raw Attack at that point. So they're going to bring in the Kingambit. Yep, that makes sense. And then, what's the other mon? Please don't be Slowking. Don't be Slowking. It's Glaceon. Okay, so Glaceon I'm fine with, yeah. I can proceed to just click a... Okay, so actually, there's a little bit of a predicament here. I'm going to click Torch Song into Kingambit. Meanwhile, I'm going to click the Rock Slide as well. Rock Slide, I do anticipate one of these mons to go for Terastal, but realistically, if neither do, I'm fine with that. I think it's probably going to be Kingambit to get around specifically its weakness to ground, as well as losing the weakness to earthquake and getting an immunity to it. And I think specifically it's going to be Terra Flying, Kingambit. If not, Glaceon's probably Terra Water, which I'm also okay with. It's Terra Ground, actually. Terra Ground is a little bit more annoying, truthfully. But it's solely more annoying because it's a Rock Slide resist, and it doesn't really change what I do here. So the Tyranitar ends up underpacing everything. How did Tyranitar underpace? Skeletor should have been slower than this. Skeletor definitely should have been... Oh, you know what? Skeletor's just 65. Okay. And, of course, that Mud Slap ends up avoiding. Okay. That's really unfortunate, actually, I can't lie. Okay. We're gonna go for a Slack Off here. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go for... Actually, I'm gonna go for a Protect. And I'm gonna click Earthquake. Kingambit should still take a ton of damage from this. And we kind of just need to stall through Trick Room at this point, which is something, but I can make it work. Tyranitar Earthquake is going to go off, though. The Skeletor obviously gets the Protect, and then, meanwhile, the other two Pokemon should take a good amount of damage from this. The Kingambit might not die. Yeah, it doesn't die. It takes about half. Oh, their Weakness Policy. Oh, that's really bad. That is super bad, actually. Fuck, that's obnoxiously bad, actually, I can't lie. Tyranitar's gonna drop to that. Ugh, okay. So, Talonflame, and then Soaking did not come. That's... Ugh. Okay, that's not good. That's not good at all. That's really not good at all. Okay, so Skeletor's just gonna take sand damage. It's fine. It's really the only one on the field taking sand damage. Fuck. I kind of wish that I clicked Bug Buzz into the Bomb Stone now and kept around my Rabsca, because I think it could have been useful here. How many turns of Trick Room left? One turn of Trick Room. Okay, so I kind of need to just hope for a double protect. Meanwhile, I need to go for a close combat into the Kingambit here, because I think they're going to go for Sucker Punch. We got the protect off. Okay, that's good. That's really good, actually. This is essentially going to be what makes or breaks. They're going to go for Kowtow. Ooh, that's dead on Annihilape. Well, there wasn't really a ton more I could do about that, truthfully. They're going to Sucker Punch me anyway next turn, and that's definitively going to KO. So, a little unfortunate. Plus, their Kingambit seems to outpace me anyway. I was kind of hoping that I could close combat at this turn and then go for close combat on Glaceon next turn. But, nope, that's not going to matter. But truthfully, it's what I had to go for. I had to go for them targeting my Skeletors and then going for like a Blizzard or something. And then missing the Blizzard. That's really the only way that I had to win this game, albeit this was their guaranteed way to win. So it's not like they made a misplay, I just kind of had to hope that they did, and that's really the only way I won this. But good game, good game. The team honestly is really fucking cool. I like the Weakness Policy Kingambit a lot, and truthfully it just caught me off guard. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you did and you want to see more content like this, leave a like and subscribe. Shoutouts to channel members, of course, being Josh K Ultra Player, Mia, Zeke Zero, Matt O'Shea, Nux Nocturnal, Koemi, and Slade. Your guys' support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to see some more content like this, as well as bonus content every week, make sure, of course, you hit the channel member button. Channel member video should be going up late tonight. Got a little bit under the weather, which is why there was no video yesterday. But otherwise, though, with that said, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Until then, peace out, guys.